Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Viṣṇu Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Mahārāja, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 4, The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 20, Text 30. Manye giram te jagatam vimohinim varam vrinishveti bhajantam atayat vachanutantya yadi te janosita katam punakarma karoti mohita. My dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. The allurements you offer in the Vedas are certainly not suitable for pure devotees. People in general, bound by the sweet words of the Vedas, engage themselves again and again in fruitive activities, enamored by the results of their actions. Purport. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a great acharya of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, has said that persons who are very much attached to the fruitive activities of the Vedas, namely Karmakand and Jnanakand, are certainly doomed. In the Vedas, there are three categories of activities known as Karmakand, fruitive activities, Jnanakand, philosophical research, and Upashanakand, worship of different demigods for receiving material benefits. Those who are engaged in Karmakand and Jnanakand are doomed in the sense that everyone is doomed who is entrapped by this material body, whether it is a body of a demigod, a king, a lower animal, or whatever. The sufferings of the threefold miseries of material nature are the same for all. Cultivation of knowledge to understand one's spiritual position is also, to a certain extent, a waste of time. Because the living entity is an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his immediate business is to engage himself in devotional service. Pṛthu Maharaj therefore says that the allurement of material benedictions is another trap to entangle one in this material world. He therefore frankly tells the Lord that the Lord's offerings of benedictions in the form of material facilities are certainly causes for bewilderment. A pure devotee is not at all interested in bhukti or mukti. The Lord sometimes offers benedictions to the neophyte devotee who have not yet understood that material facilities will not make them happy. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord therefore says that a sincere devotee who is not very intelligent may ask some material benefit from the Lord, but the Lord, being omniscient, does not generally give the material rewards, but on the contrary takes away whatever material facilities are being enjoyed by his devotee, so that ultimately the devotee will completely surrender unto him. In other words, the offering of benedictions in the form of material profit is never auspicious for the devotee. The statements of the Vedas which offer elevation to heavenly planets in exchange for great sacrifices are simply bewildering. Therefore in Bhagavad Gita 2.42 the Lord says, Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadantyavi paschita. The less intelligent class of men, avipaschita, attracted by the flowery language of the Vedas, engage in fruitive activities to become materially benefited. Thus they continue life after life in different bodily forms to search very, very hard. Text 31. Tramhaya yadhag chana ishakandito Yad anyad ashasta ratmano buddha yatha chared bhala hitam pitasvayam tatatvam evar hasina samihitam. My Lord, due to your illusory energy, all living beings in this material world have forgotten their real constitutional position, and out of ignorance they are always desirous of material happiness in the form of society, friendship, and love. Therefore, please do not ask me to take some material benefits from you, but as a father, not waiting for the son's demand, does everything for the benefit of the son, please bestow upon me whatever you think best for me. Purport. It is the duty of the son to depend upon his father without asking anything from him. The good son has faith that the father knows best how to benefit him. Similarly, a pure devotee does not ask anything from the Lord for material benefit, nor does he ask anything for spiritual benefit. The pure devotee is fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord takes charge of him, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami. The Father knows the necessities of the Son and supplies them. And the Supreme Lord knows the necessities of the living entities and supplies them sumptuously. Therefore, the Ishopanishad states that everything in this material world is complete, purnamidam. The difficulty is that due to forgetfulness, the living entities create unnecessary demands and entangle themselves in material activities. The result is that there is no end to material activities, life after life. Before us, there are varieties of living entities, and everyone is entangled in transmigrations and activities. Our duty is simply to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and let Him take charge, for He knows what is good for us. Pṛthu Mahārāja therefore tells the Lord that as the Supreme Father, He may elect to bestow whatever He considers beneficial for Pṛthu Mahārāja. That is the perfect position of the living entity. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us in his Sikshastakam, Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadish Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahortiki Tvayi. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor have I any desire to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service in my life, birth after birth. The conclusion is that the pure devotee should not aspire after any material benefit from devotional service, nor should he be enamored by fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. He should always be engaged favorably in the service of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. Text 32. Maitreya uvacha ityadi rajena nutasva vishvadrik tam aharajan mayi bhaktir ashtute dischedrishi dhir mayi te kritayaya mayam madiyam tarati smadusyajam. The great sage Maitreya continued by saying that the Lord, the seer of the universe, after hearing Pṛthu Mahārāja's prayer, addressed the king. My dear king, you may always be blessing. My dear king, may you always be blessed by engaging in my devotional service. Only by such purity of purpose as you yourself very intelligently express, can one cross over the insurmountable illusory energy of Maya. Purport. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, wherein the Lord claims that the illusory energy is insurmountable. No one can transcend the illusory energy of Maya by fruitive activity, speculative philosophy, or mystic yoga. The only means for transcending illusory energy is devotional service, as the Lord himself states. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Bhagavad Gita 7.14. If one wants to cross over the ocean of material existence, there is no alternative than to take the devotional service. A devotee therefore should not care for any material position, whether in heaven or hell. A pure devotee should always engage in the service of the Lord, for that is real occupation. Simply by sticking to that position, one can overcome the stringent laws of nature. Text 33. Tattvam kuru mayadishtam apramata prajapate madhadesha karoloka sarvatrapnoti sobhanam. My dear king, O protector of the citizens, henceforward be very careful to execute my orders and not be misled by anything. Anyone who lives in that way, simply carrying out my orders faithfully, will always find good fortune all over the world. Purport. The sum and substance of religious life is to execute the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one who does so is perfectly religious. In Bhagavad Gita 18.65, the Supreme Lord Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakta. Just think of me always and become my devotee. Furthermore, the Lord says, Sarva dharmam parityag mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all kinds of material engagement and simply surrender unto me. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. This is the primary principle of religion. Anyone who directly executes such an order from the personality of Godhead is actually a religious person. Others are described as pretenders, for there are many activities going on throughout the world in the name of religion, which are not actually religious. For one who executes the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, there is only good fortune throughout the world. Text 34. Maitreya uvacha iti vanyasya radrashe prati nandiyartha vadvacha pujito nugrihit painam gantum chakre chutamatim. The great Saint Maitreya told Vidura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead amply appreciated the meaningful prayers of Mahārāja Pṛthu. Thus, after being properly worshipped by the king, the Lord blessed him and decided to depart. The most important in this verse are the words Prati Nandiyartha Vadvacha, which indicate that the Lord appreciated the very meaningful prayers of the king. When a devotee prays to the Lord, it is not to ask for material benefits, but to ask the Lord for his favor. He prays that he may be engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet, birth after birth. Lord Chaitanya therefore uses the words Mam Janmani Janmani, which means birth after birth, because a devotee is not even interested in stopping the repetition of birth. The Lord and the devotee appear in this material world, birth after birth, but such births are transcendental. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord informed Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had undergone many, many births previously, but the Lord remembered everything about them, whereas Arjuna had forgotten. The Lord and his confidential devotees appear many times to fulfill the Lord's mission. But since such births are transcendental, they are not accompanied by the miserable conditions of material birth, and they are therefore called divya, transcendental. One must understand the transcendental birth of the Lord and the devotee. The purpose of the Lord's taking birth is to establish devotional service, which is the perfect system of religion. And the purpose of birth of the devotee is to broadcast the same system of religion, or the Bhakti cult, all over the world. Pṛthu Maharaj was an incarnation of the power of the Lord to spread the Bhakti cult, and the Lord blessed him to remain fixed in his position. Thus, when the king refused to accept any material benediction, the Lord appreciated that refusal very much. Another significant word in this verse is achyuta, which means infallible. Although the Lord appears in this material world, he is never to be considered one of the conditioned souls, who are all fallible. When the Lord appears, he remains in his spiritual position, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. And therefore in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord expresses the quality of his appearance as Atma Mahāyaya, performed by internal potency. The Lord, being infallible, is not forced by material nature to take birth in this material world. He appears in order to reestablish the perfect order of religious principles and to vanquish the demoniac influence in human society. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 35 through 36 on Monday. Let's see. Yes, we'll continue on Monday. Jai Viṣṇupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Samba Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nishringapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan, Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Shamkund Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bol, Jai Shrimati Umadevi Rasi Ki Jai.
जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद कृष्ण केशव प्रभु जी की जय। धन्यवाद प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
धन्यवाद दीदी।